Abbas looks like he's at a frat party and he's alone.
What
Derek! Derek! Come! I need a friend! You start recording? Wait, did we start?
Yeah.
Did you start?
We're gonna be watching this movie called Close Up by this director named Abbas Kiarostami, and I want to know your thoughts on it. I've only seen it once myself, kind of like 1.5 times now,
Okay.
and it really like struck a chord with me because of how it kind of blurs both documentary and narrative. And we also have other F8 team members here. We have Jasper and Derry, and they're gonna be
Hi.
watching the film alongside us. So as you can see, it's a Criterion Collection movie.
So,
Janus.
Greek god
I like Janus.
of choices.
I dig Janus.
That says police station.
I can read English.
Wait, does he actually do that?
I forgot to mention this, and this might be a big part of the movie, is that all of these people are like real people. They're not actors. They're
Okay.
not actors in the movie.
It's gonna explode.
You said it was gonna explode?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna explode.
So now that we know that it didn't,
Mm-hmm.
like, what'd you think about it? Like, why?
Oh, we're done with that?
Why
whole
was
thing?
it? Yeah.
Like, is that not gonna come back? Cool, I guess. It just kept rolling forever.
That's where the camera's.
Yeah. The fuck?
So I guess it's a payoff for that.
That's a payoff.
Yeah. I like this framing. It's like separated from my office.
So Parasite. That one scene, like looking from the second floor. It's like, miss, wake up. And it's like completely divided.
Right. So basically, that guy was arrested for fraud
Mm-hmm. At the beginning.
at the beginning.
And this is a pretty big deal.
And this is a pretty big deal because he impersonated this one big time director in Iran.
Okay.
And then this director of the movie was just confronting him, like asking him whether or not he thought that he's committing fraud. And he was like, no, I'm interested in art and film. And like that movie was such a big part of me that I'm not a convict, basically.
Well, didn't we see him get arrested?
That either could have been the real
Mhm.
deal or a reenactment of the real deal.
Okay. So if it was a reenactment, we're seeing a different actor getting arrested.
No, it's still him. That's also the guy. So knowing that that guy was the convict and he's also going to be acting in this movie, like, what do you think about that?
I think it's a cool concept. Nothing much to say about it
Right.
now.
Yeah. So yeah, so basically the guy was like, I'm gonna try, the director of this movie was like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna try to move your trial forward
Okay.
in hopes to also record your trial. And so yeah, you're gonna see the trial as well, and that's all real.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is all scripted, right?
No, it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, so that, what you just saw was real. It was a real scene between the director and the convict.
Is this all boom mic?
Yeah. It's not that too much. Okay, so this is gonna be a reenactment right here.
How do you know?
Because it's basically the story of how he
Oh, okay.
met this mother.
So what did he do so far? He impersonated someone else, the director. He wanted money for him to shoot a film. I feel like us as filmmakers, we want that to be justified, but if it was like anything else, like we would be like, it's like no, it's an excuse. So I'm curious if that that reenactment with the mother was really necessary, and in that scene we heard the mom speak a lot. So I feel like I learned a lot about the mother, but not much about this guy. Very interesting lighting, you see,
Yeah, right.
for a courthouse.
I mean, he said that there were 2 cameras in this courthouse. One was a close-up,
Right.
and one was a wide-angle lens. And did you notice how when he asked this guy what close-up lens is,
Uh-huh.
he didn't know.
Right.
But he was trying to pass as a filmmaker, but he
Right.
didn't know that. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I feel like there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
That they want to be filmmakers, but they know nothing about filmmaking. They only know about like storytelling.
Right.
So I just kind of figured he's like one of those guys who's just like really interested.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting that was like how this scene started off is like just showing how little he knows about filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy his answer on the bus when he said, you know, he rides the bus to look for ideas and stories for his like upcoming movies? Do you feel like that would be a response that the actual director would say?
I think so. Like I do that a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just like drive, like kind of like unconsciously looking for like any cool ideas or like just like things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's believable because just like considering the setting that he just happens to be reading this book that the mother was interested in. It is very slow paced.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like obviously compared to more modern American films, there's not much happening aside from, you know, a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what's at stake because like we kind of know that this guy was, you know, let go from the jail of his sentence.
So does that make you care a little bit less because it doesn't seem like
he also his goal is obviously to make movies.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't make this one, but he ended up being in it as an actor.
Yeah, true.
Right. So his like we already know that like if this is a real guy, if that's a real trial, he kind of like this film has helped him fulfill his desire to, you know, be part of filmmaking. And as a filmmaker myself, I would kind of like to root for him. But yeah.
I agree with the comment that like this movie is slow, and I guess that's like one of the things that we're trying to do with Close Up, like our own Close Up, right? Like this is an inspiration to it, and you can kind of see why, because you know, not only is it pretty dialogue heavy, but it's also very like human driven. It's just about, you know, like kind of like some ordinary lives here and how, you know, we're impacted on camera. So that's the actual director.
Right, I know, but like what's the time period?
I don't know.
After he was released.
Yeah.
They're actually using a nicer camera for this scene. Like, I'm assuming this is 16 mil, Core is 8 mil. This has the nicer look in this movie. To do a hidden shot, that's pretty surprising. It's actually not that hidden actually, they're getting the audio somehow. Music?
Yeah, finally.
What?
That's it? That's a movie, Taka.
That's close up, huh?
Yeah. See, they're playing themselves. So that second column and the third column is the same.
Yeah. Jesus. I think it had a really cool concept. So it's definitely unique. I'm not sure if this is like an established kind of like style of filmmaking in Iran or anywhere in the world. Him actually hugging the director at the end, that kind of felt like a genuine reaction. Like he really wanted to see this guy, meet this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like he's just a confused man who wanted people's attention.
Right.
Like he
also, like, yeah, his social status too. From a social economic point of view, you know, this guy's a nobody. But because he looks like a director, he wanted to see how far he could get. And I definitely understand the type of attention that he would get.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's because of his social status that made him, you know, kind of want to act out as well. To see how far he could take.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, to an extent, we're all kind of like this guy. You
Mhm.
know, like you kind of have to sell yourself. And this guy definitely did it for like the first couple of visits. If I recall correctly, I think this movie in Iran, the reception when it came out was like horrible. But then like after a couple years, I think like more international viewers watched it and they really liked this movie.
So it kind of became a cult hit.
I think so.
guess.
Yeah, definitely. The
I
only
actually did like the rolling can sequence.
Oh, you do?
I
Okay.
did. That was I don't know, it was kind of like comforting even to like just like it's, you know, what you're seeing is just like it's what it is, even though there's like no movement for like 5 minutes.
Right.
That is kind of like a true reaction, but at the same time he's also, you know, using the actual people to, you know, create these flashbacks.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I feel like, you know, that's a very good, cool concept that was in a sense like kind of, I feel like it was wasted that they've only done that like
Twice.
2 to 3 times. Yeah.
But you know, you
when
can't
they could have
expect
done more.
But you can't expect that much from non-actors. You can't expect that much from the people that actually prosecuted this guy to want to work with him even more, you know? But yeah.
I mean, you don't know that, right? They've only
That's
done a
true.
couple of scenes. Like, they might have been like super like down, because like they obviously like films. You know, if film is a visual medium,
Right.
so it is.
So you think it was kind of wasted that a lot of the time was actually spent in the courtroom?
I won't say it's a waste, because that's one way of, you know, telling a story,
Mhm.
and that's what this director prefers, so that's okay. It's definitely not what I would do. As a director, like if I'm like picking up a similar concept, like just like wanting to learn like what's going on in his head, rather than just like letting him like speak out like everything he was going through his mind, which seemed pretty like unorganized and chaotic,
Yeah.
which is, you know, what he is, so it's great. But like, you know, kind of wanted to like enter his brain per se by maybe like seeing more flashbacks of like him actually like doing the stuff that you know, he was doing before the arrest, and like what was going on through him like in his everyday life.
Yeah.
I think it was funny because up to that second when they started playing music, I feel like the director wasn't really taking sides. It's like it wasn't really like on his side. But the second they started playing music and like started showing, you know, the director and this guy being like intimately like talking and like getting flowers, it kind of like changed the narrative of this film. I feel like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.